In high school, a classmate of mine was bragging one day about losing his virginity to a lady in our community who happened to be the mother to a girl a grade above us. We all called bullshit and asked why he makes something like that up, cause not only is it not believable, it just was and even a funny lie. Fast forward 6 months and fellow classmate is to leave class on multiple occasions to go to court. Older lady was bragging to a coworker about sleeping with said classmate, and now older lady is a sex offender. Friend WOULDN let me use his computer 20 years ago. He said he had things on there that would change how I thought about him. I stowed the thought aside. 12 years or so later, married with a young daughter, they threw his ass in prison for having some insanely large amount of child porn on his computer. He was part of some huge child porn ring, evidently really young girls. As a girl, trust me, short sex can be just as nice. Not every girl wants to be rammed for 10 minutes when she got off at 30 seconds. There are only so many orgasms you can have before you get out of the mood. My friend had anal sex with her boyfriend for 5 years before having vaginal sex. She was too scared she would get pregnant. I have nothing against anal sex, but it totally shocked the hell out of me. When I was in high school, a girl I worked with who went to Catholic school, very religious family, said this was pretty common among girls in her school as a way of keeping their virginity from marriage. Might be BS. As a general rule, anything that anyone in high school says about sex is usually a lie or exaggeration. That when house sitting for us, he and his wife fucked in every room of our house and also on my motorcycle. Edit. Since YLL want details. I found out a few months later when the bastard told me his wife also mentioned it. The bike was a custom Harley with a wide, low seat. I'm pretty sure they bumped uglies on top while it was on the kickstand. I had a hard time enjoying the bike after that. I ended up selling it to our local city councilman. I didn't disclose the fucking. My best friend in college got in a pretty kinky sexual relationship with this dude for a while. They do BDSM type stuff, none of which is particularly shocking to me. But I remember visiting her apartment and seeing a spoon out randomly in her room and asked why it was there. She said she loved the taste of his cum so much he'd jerk off onto the spoon and feed it to her while she was tied up. I didn't think she ever really shocked me, but that one took the cake. A couple that I was friends with was into necrophilia play. He would make his wife take an ice-cold shower, quickly dry off, and then she'd just lay there while he fucked her cold and moving body, and they really liked it. Best friend in HS was casually seeing this dude who was a senior our sophomore year. Well, he graduated and dumped her. Next year his brother started HS. She proceeded to date him, took both of their virginities. That she had elaborate pirate role-play sex. We were housemates in college and I heard way more than I bargained for. Also, the guy she had elaborate pirate role-play sex with smelled bad and wore those shoes with the separate toes. My roommate broke his bed one day after coming home with his girlfriend. Pretty ordinary so far. That happens, although already quite funny. Then I remembered that I helped him build his bed up when we moved in. Dude bed has 2 slatted frames. How the hell did they break that? A former friend of mine used to wipe her husband's butt after he'd been to the bathroom. Initially she'd do his washing and he'd leave stains on his underwear for her, I'm not sure, and that progressed to some humiliation and her checking him when he got home from work every day. She told me this when we were outside having a cigarette and I then had to sit across from them both for the longest game of Monopoly. I used to frequent Craigslist back before they banned anything even resembling a dating or hookup ad. I once placed an ad and got a response from a guy on my team at work asking if I wanted to fuck his wife. As in bluntly asking, hey buddy, you wanna fuck my wife? Your email address is stripped off when using their built-in email system, but the name on your email account comes through. The response was in this guy's name, which is unique, and he included a picture of his wife who I have met. The pic didn't show her face, but she has some visible tattoos, so there was zero doubt it was her. After several years I found out that one of my female friends wore a strap-on and fucked her husband up the butt almost every time they had sex. I don't remember how the topic even came up, but apparently that was just how he liked it and she was happy to oblige. He said that when he was 20 he did try it with another man but didn't really find any enjoyment in it because he likes playing with tits while getting plowed, so he only likes it when it's coming from a woman wearing a strap-on. Was hanging out with my boyfriend and our friends who are also a couple. We were having breakfast smoothies. They casually mentioned that they going to an orgy in Brooklyn on Saturday, and it a really progressive orgy because all men need to be invited by a woman. I like, wow, that a really interesting system. Internally I like, you guys go to orgies? Edit. I just wanna say that you guys are losing it over the word progressive, since apparently that how all orgies are. This was like 6 months ago. I'm not quoting her adjective for adjective. That was just my takeaway about that rule she described to us, i.e. never been to a sex club. Alright. My best friend uses blowjobs as bribery to an insane degree. I mean, I'm not above a little BJ bribery myself, but she uses it on her husband like several times a day. Wants coffee, but doesn't want to make it. BJ doesn't want to clean the dishes. BJ, it's her turn to walk the dogs. BJ, it's kind of hilarious. She's super lazy but prefers giving him head to doing most chores, and apparently it works for him too. She also doesn't want sex as often as he does, so she finds this keeps him happy and she doesn't feel the need to put out as much. All of which I find hilarious. Well, I just found out my girlfriend's a lesbian, so that's kinda fucking with me. Edit. Thank you all for the support and the laughs. It sucks. We've been together for a long time, built a bit of a life together, been through thick and thin. She claims it's just a mistake, but she's emotionally and physically involved with another woman and has been cheating on me, as well as financially supporting the home you wrecker with money we discussed saving for a wedding. I hope she finds what she's looking for, because it's not gonna be with me anymore. I've given all that I could. In spite of his wife being comfortable with having an open relationship, he proceeded to cheat on her multiple times before we all found out. Edit. Should clarify he refused to have an open relationship. My friend was U.S. Army Special Forces Green Beret and would go on regular shadow fucking dates. He would find people online, mostly on Craigslist, this was in the 2012, and set up random anonymous sex liaisons with people he had never met, spoken with, or had even seen. He would show up to an unlocked apartment or house, fuck in the dark without ever seeing or speaking, and bail. One day we were playing XBOX. He got an email, said don't unpause it, I gotta go fuck real quick. He left, did the deed and brought a 6-pack back all within an hour, sat down and kept playing. This happened a few different times and I think about it often. A friend of mine came out as asexual. I had never met anyone who was asexual, so I asked a lot of questions within his comfort level about what that meant and what it like to be in a relationship. He said he just DOES and have a sex drive, DOES and find anything sexual, DOES and want to be sexual, and is otherwise completely indifferent to sex. He said even though he had sex, he felt this way his whole life. He'd been with his girlfriend for over 5 years. She is not asexual. She sleeps with other people. He totally fine with it. He not interested in progressing the relationship. She cool with it for now. His biggest thing is that he's scared of how his family would react if they found out, and that they would assume he was just suppressing homosexuality. Turns out even people with no sexuality are still afraid of what others will think of them. My girlfriend in HS was friends with this girl who was super quiet and pretty nerdy, totally innocent in every sense of the word. When she was like 12 or so, her mom got remarried to this dude who had a son around her age. Well, at around 16 or so, my HS girlfriend finally got stone drunk with me one night and told me that this girl didn't want to lose her virginity, so her and her stepbrother had been doing anal regularly for months. All I remember was being like, the fuck, and then going home and masturbating furiously to the idea of it. Ooh boy, this is a fun one. So my friend decides to tell our whole group that his now ex-girlfriend asked him what his favorite game was. He said Rainbow Six Siege. She looked it up and asked him who his favorite characters were. He said Mutant Caveira. She asked him for $100. He obliged. Sometime later she invites him to her house. He goes there and all the lights are out. The whole house is empty. Suddenly, something jumps from out of nowhere and tackles him to the ground. He looks up to see his girlfriend, in full Caveira cosplay, holding a butter knife to his neck, demanding to know where his friends are. She then motions his sight to a chair nearby that has a mute costume and a pack of condoms. One of my former best friends and his fiancée had been together for nearly 5 years and due to be married in a few months when this happened. They were very open about their sex life, saying it was awesome and that they had their fun nearly every night. A few months before the wedding, she confided in me that they had actually never had sex before because he was scared. Apparently he had her act like they were having daily sex to make it seem like everything was normal. First couple of years they tried and didn't get anywhere with sex. After that he just lost interest in her. Apparently the mental abuse in the relationship was pretty high, to which she completely hid from everyone to save his ass. This story is why this best friend is now former best friend.